So my name is Brandon Nelson. I'm married to Julia. We've got 4 kids.
We joined Redeemer in 2022, having lived abroad for the last 14 years. Part of that was in West Africa, but the majority of that time was in the United Kingdom, the UK, which is where I'm originally from. And then full circle back to Alabama, which is where Brandon's originally from. When we were in England, we worked alongside local churches. There, Brandon was a pastor of a church for a while. And then we also spent time overseas as well, working with church planters and helping assist them in West Africa. When we first moved to Redeemer, we were just really excited to see what was going on.
And we were praying about how we could get involved in that, and over time the desire started growing for us to be involved in church planting in particular. So we started to discuss and pray about that with the leaders, both at Redeemer, but then also Grace Fellowship. And through that, the Lord then opened the door for us to move forward with church planting in North Jefferson. It seems like God is weaving together a few different threads. One of them is what He's doing here at Redeemer, and Redeemer really believes in church planting. In the New Testament, when disciples are made, churches are planted. For years, we've had the wonderful privilege of getting a front row seat to what God's doing around the world, how Christ is building His church, and we've longed to be a part of that locally. But then there's also, I think, the fact that North Jefferson is ripe for a church plant. It isn't that there are not already gospel-hearted churches there, because there are. But I think there are some unique distinctives that a Redeemer-like church would bring to the community. And there are people who are there that we would be uniquely positioned to reach with the gospel. God is already at work, and we are taking the next step with Him. So to that end, we are praying and moving forward in planting Trinity Fellowship. We hope that by God's grace, it will be a church that is marked by faithfulness to the priorities that God has laid out for us in His Word. And I think those can be summarized by 3 words: worship, community, and mission. So worship meaning everything begins with God. This is first and foremost about who He is and what He is doing, but also that worship is lived out in community. So we would love to see it be a place where people are experiencing a deep sense of community that is shaped by the gospel. So it's as Paul said it in Romans 15:7, that we welcome one another as we have been welcomed by Christ for the glory of God. But this isn't a community that just exists for itself. This is a community that is joined together on mission. We want this to be a church that is passionate about proclaiming the gospel in North Jefferson and among all nations.
We're hoping everyone will partner with us in some way, and prayer is the most obvious way that everyone can help. And we really value your prayers, and we have seen in the past how God has answered prayers, and we look forward to seeing that in the future too.
We're also hoping that people will consider giving, whether it's finance or time or skills, some way to serve the church plant as it's getting started. And we're praying that people will go. That will include people who are living in North Jefferson already, but also people who have a heart for this work. But I hope that all of us will come before the Lord and say, Lord, what would you have me to do? And then take the next step with Him, whatever that is.